Welcome to the Darien Sewer Commission regular meeting of Tuesday, April 6, 2021. We're kicking the meeting off at 4:32 p.m. via remote video conference using the town's GoToMeeting software as provided in the agenda posted online and with the town clerk. Would ask anyone who is not involved in our discussion to mute until such time that their words are needed. Otherwise, we will get going with the second item on our agenda, which is approval of the meeting minutes of March 2nd.
Mr. Chairman, the meeting minutes were prepared by the town staff. So you won't see any corrections there. You won't see any corrections there because we did them. So.
Nice.
Any comments on the minutes as presented?
Greg, I didn't see any with the experts involved. I think we've got pretty good minutes here. I'll make a motion we approve.
Okay, do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Bob seconds the motion. Do we have any further discussion on the minutes before taking the vote?
I would just say that it was Penny, not Dan.
Well, thank you for letting us know, and that's fantastic. I have another compliment later. All right, all those in favor, roll call. Bob?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Susan?
I'm recused I'm abstaining because I wasn't there.
Okay, I'm a yes, so that's 3-0 with one abstention. Next item on the agenda are sewer user fee appeals. The first one is for 106 Mansfield Avenue, Michael Spellman. This is what I wanted to compliment. Both of the appeals that we are presented with this month were presented very well in terms of the backup and the explanation, right along with a suggested appeal amount. Both seemed, in my mind, consistent with our past allowances, but not to get specific, let's hear the first one, which is Mr. Spellman. You are muted, Mr. Spellman. There you go.
How's that? All right, perfect. Do you have any questions in terms of what I submitted, or what do you need me to provide for information?
You know
or
what?
just a summary of.
Yeah, I've read this one, Bob. I don't know if you have any questions. This one looked pretty darn straightforward. The leak appeared. It was resolved in 1 month. You've calculated the impact of that leak on your sewer user charge, and I thought your suggestion of 133 cubic feet was a good suggestion. Bob, did you see that one?
I did, and believe it or not, I think that the 133 is actually high. If with our past practice, something like that, in that 1920 year, we would just drop the 25 and use the other 4 numbers.
Oh yeah, we've done that before.
And doing that, I only come up with 108, which goes out to 707.40.
8 plus 10 plus 9 plus 9 times 3 would be 108. At 655 would be 707.40. I agree. So would you like to make that motion, Bob?
I would like to make a motion that Mr. Spellman gets a new bill for 707.40.
So I have a second on the motion.
I'll second that.
3 seconds. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote. I'm a yes. Reese?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
The appeal is granted. Thank you very much, Mr. Spellman. Hope you didn't mind we gave you more money.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the time. So I'll go ahead and drop. Thank you guys for your time today.
All right,
Thank you.
next sewer user fee appeal is 22 Heather Lane, Alberto De Silva. Is Mr. De Silva on the call today?
I'm here. Good afternoon.
There you are. Found you in the Brady Bunch tiles. Similarly, I didn't have any questions on this one. Bob, did you take a look at it?
I did, and this is the first time ever that the homeowner came up with a number that was exact to the penny as what I had calculated.
Well, that sounds like a motion, Mr. Hill.
So I will make a motion that that he gets a new bill of $648.45.
Okay, do I have a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
3 seconds. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'm a yes. Bob?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
The appeal is granted. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. De Silva, and thank you for the quality work in preparing your appeal.
Thank you very much.
All right, next item on the agenda. I'm going to ask Darren or Ed, should we do Warner Drive now, or should we jump ahead to 228 West? Do we have?
I'd love to do number 7, and
Okay.
and I don't know what Miss Selvey is here for. Miss Selvey, what?
I'm 228 West Avenue.
Okay, good. So,
Okay, so you're with Mr. Quinlan.
Yeah.
Very good. There's 2 people here. Be great to help them out, move them along.
Okay, we're going to take item number 7. We're going to take the agenda out of order based on the chairman's prerogative. So we're going to hear 228 West Avenue sewer line connection while we have members of the public waiting to be heard.
Okay, if I could start. The way Anthony explains this to me, Anthony Tacone, our sewer inspector, the last page in your agenda package, or second to last, excuse me.
No, it's further.
That's
All right. Nope, you're right.
It is labeled 7
map?
of 11.
I got it.
Yeah, you see the map? Okay.
Yes.
So they want to connect the garage sewer into the main house. Apparently the trench is dug. This pipe is in. They came in for a permit, and we did not give them a permit because we didn't do the inspection because there was no permit. And then we found out that it's a ½ acre and a 1/5 acre zone. It's subdividable. So there's 2 issues. One is actually only one. If you grant them permission to obtain a permit, that's what the issue is right now. They can't get an inspection until they get a permit. They can't get a permit until you approve this for them to connect a second structure on a property that can be subdivided. In the past, the commission has looked at things like this and allowed it, made a motion that if ever there were to be a subdivision, that they would have to come back and procure easements and things of that nature.
What sort of plumbing fixtures are in the garage?
Okay, Mr. Quinlan or Miss Selvey, I cannot answer that.
It's a bathroom. It's a shower, a toilet, and a sink.
So 1 full bathroom.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a bedroom back there, or is it?
No, I know it's the 2-car garage, and at the back of the garage is a changing room and the bathroom because we have a pool, and then there's a staircase that goes upstairs to one big massive playroom. That's what it's going to be. There's no walls, closets. There's no plumbing upstairs. It's just an empty loft.
Okay, thank you. And then is this one? So did we have the opportunity to view the installation of this line, or has this line been in there a long time? What's the situation with that, Darren?
It's my understanding that the pipe is installed. The trench remains open right now.
Oh, okay.
Is
So
that
we can inspect the quality of construction.
Yes. If not for that, then I would be asking you to for direction on internal
Video and whatnot,
television, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. You know, I didn't see any other issues. It does seem consistent with our past actions to allow this, subject to the condition that you noted, Darren, about any future use of the property. But I'll leave it open to the commissioners to ask any questions they have or make any comments they have.
I just have one quick question, and that would be, where does the pool equipment waste to?
Pool equipment waste?
Yes,
there-
when you have to lower the water in the pool
Yes.
using the pool equipment, where does the water go to? Does
Usually-
it go into the sanitary sewer or does it go somewhere else?
I think they just take a hose and they siphon it off. It runs down my driveway, I think. I don't know.
Which
I
is
don't
allowed,
really-
which is allowed according to the DEP general permit. If allowed to off gas first, it can go to surface. in those
That's what they've
situations.
done in the past. Yeah.
Okay.
I use a
No,
pool
that's the-
service.
That's the proper thing. I was just checking to make sure it didn't go into the sanitary sewer.
No.
Okay.
All right, any further questions or comments from commissioners? Can I get a motion?
Yeah, I would make a motion to okay, but if there was ever, if the property were to ever be subdivided, it would be necessary for them to come back for proper permits and easements.
Okay, I
Great,
have a second on
okay.
the motion. Looking for a second?
I'll second that.
3 seconds. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Bob?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
I'm a yes. That's 4-0. Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to go back up the agenda to number 4, Warner Drive Sewer Lateral Connection, discussion and action.
Okay, this is a little bit weird. I gave you a couple of photos to help you out. The first photo is a plan view, which shows the location of 14 Warner Drive and 10 Warner Drive. The second photo shows a street view of 10 Warner Drive and 14 Warner Drive. The builder, Anthony Maggiore, who's doing some work on 14 Warner Drive, has come to us and asked if he could connect to the sewer. And the first thing we told him was that he would probably have to do a sanitary sewer extension, and we explained to him all of the things that would involve. And then, given our recent experience on 88 Nearwater and how we ended up there, we thought, hey, this is kind of similar, and the sewer is already in the cul-de-sac, and there is no possibility for a future extension except for 2 houses. So would it be easier for everybody if this guy just put in 2 6-inch laterals up the road? And he agreed to that. Now, if you look on the plan, you could see the plan view, you could see where his house, and there's one more house, and that one extra house
18.
is 18 exactly. And 18 has come to us and talked about connecting into freight court in the past. Nothing has become of it. This contractor has approached number 18, and 18 said no, he still doesn't want to connect. He's not interested in assisting in the paying for this extra lateral. However, the contractor for number 14 said it doesn't matter to him. He'd gladly throw in an extra lateral for a further extension of the lateral for number 18 at his expense, because it's still going to be much less money than a proper design, a formal sewer extension, developer's agreement, inspection services, etc. So that's basically it.
Both of these properties are currently served by some form of a septic system?
Yes, they're not. Well, I would hope so. They're not connected, so that must be the way.
It's surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also a common driveway, and this sewer's going through part of the common driveway. So does he have what's necessary to do that?
Well,
I don't know if it's his or the
the
rear
driveway
property.
happens to be positioned on town property.
Yeah.
I believe that he's also on driveway. If you look at the aerial one, not the street
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not all town. I don't think that's all town property.
Well, where the laterals would be placed is all town property.
Or state. Yeah.
Or see, yeah, figure out that answer.
Right.
Or state?
You won't. Well, I-95, where does I-95 stop and where does Warner Drive start?
But where does I-95 stop and the person and the driveway, they become private property?
Well, according to the tax assessor, outside of the location where the lateral is. I'm going to call something up on my screen that'll help the conversation. Just give me a second.
Sorry, I'm missing something here.
Yeah, let me point to it for you. Give me a second.
I think it's the GIS is probably a little wiggly there. And if
Yeah,
14 Warner Drive, the address abuts 14 Warner Drive, the street, and he can bring his lateral in and stop another lateral right there in the street, and 18 could hook up later. I mean, that seems like everybody could be happy, and it's pretty cheap to put extra pipe in the ground once you have a trench dug. Is there any separation between those laterals, Darren, or could they be in the same trench?
Yeah,
You guys
no, we
see-
would make them separated by 6 inches so we can get some compacted bedding underneath.
Yeah, but that's like not a big deal. You know, it's
not.
one trench.
Can you
So
see
that
my
you
screen?
really
Yes,
cost of
I
pipe.
can.
So it looks to me, here's the manhole.
Yeah.
And it looks to me, choose pen color, hold on. It looks to me like the lateral would be here. One would go there and one would effectively stop there. And
So you said there looks like you drew it so it avoids the common driveway. As best,
Well,
I'm sorry, I'm seeing it on a small screen, but so you got to forgive me.
no,
for that.
it goes right up the common driveway, but the common driveway is not owned privately. The common driveway, that portion of the driveway is owned publicly.
That's the way it appears
Street
to me
property.
too.
So
The
you
street
don't
probably went through. The street probably went through before 95.
exactly.
And still exists.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly
So-
the turnaround circle in Warner Drive now would be in the 50-foot setback or 100-foot, whatever it is, off the highway, and they wouldn't allow it. But it's there.
Yeah. Warner.
So then it doesn't necessitate easements or right of ways. Is that what you're?
That's my point. You don't no easement because it's in the right of way.
That's right.
And you're allowed to have utilities and access in a right of way.
I think
Okay.
it's kind of the builder to throw another pipe in there. That's a nice thing to do, and it's better for us too because you don't dig up the road again.
Yeah, it's just the right thing to do for the future. It helps us. Let me see here. Trying to get rid of my drawing tools here. Back to my highlighter. Clear, erase all drawings. There we go. Yeah. And this is 14 in the back,
18.
or 18 in the back. It would be easier for them to get here, although I don't know who owns this little thing. And MapGeo is not telling me.
No, it won't.
Yeah, okay.
It won't. I looked. If you look on some old maps, you could see that there was a lot of subdividing going on in that area. But
So someone would have to come up with a survey at that time to figure out
That's
where
right.
the pipe is. But
that's right.
not-
And I would assume, based on all of our other experience, that number 18 has a right of ingress and egress, which would give him sort of the right of utilities ingress and egress.
Yep.
But you're right. Somebody would have to figure that out. Like 18.
Do you want to make that a condition of 14 when they hook up, that if 18 wants to hook up later, they allow them access?
I don't know if it's necessary. Maybe you could.
Yeah,
I don't
18
think it hurts
would have
any-
to come back and would allow them access.
We're putting in a lateral. We would be putting in a lateral for 18 partially.
I think I like that, Reese, actually. If there's some property issue whereby 14 owns some little strip that 18 needs, I like that as a condition.
They don't block it that way. It's
And we
don't
continue
know
to
who
get the right thing done, which is what we want to do.
Yep.
I'm
why
cool
put
with that condition. So do you want to make a
If-
motion with a condition?
sure. I'll make a motion. We allow this. That there's 2 laterals, 2 pipes in the ground for 14 to hook up, and that 18 is allowed to hook up if and when they want to in the future. Do we require an as-built too? Do they have to design an as-built, Craig? Submit it later.
They should submit an as-built to the lateral location to
Every
sewer.
sewer lateral, installer of a sewer lateral has to submit an as-built drawing. It's not a survey
All right.
drawing, but
Yeah, close enough. We'll pull a tape measure, find it.
yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
So that's my motion.
Okay, so approve 2 laterals and 18 comes back if they want to connect, or what was the motion?
18, yeah, 18. Well, they wouldn't have to. It's a private. Well, they would. They'd be
Well, they'd be-
connecting to this. So 18 comes back, but 14 grants the right to install a lateral on any common easement
Yeah, under the driveway, let's say.
under the driveway. And I don't know where that lives. Maybe it lives in your file. Just something, a letter saying we grant you the right to hook up to this lateral we're installing now in future.
Okay. For 18 to cross 14.
For what it's worth, we
If-
did the survey for 10 Warner, and the depiction of the right-of-way on the tax assessor map looks accurate.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to allow 14 Warner Drive to connect to the sanitary sewer via a new 6-inch lateral to the existing sanitary manhole in Warner Drive, and at the same time place a second 6-inch sanitary lateral 6 inches away from the first one to be used should any current or future owner of 18 Warner Drive want to connect to the sewer system, and that the it is conditioned on the requirement that the owner of 14 Warner allow such connection under the driveway if necessary. Any further, a second on the motion? I'm going to second on the motion.
Actually, I have a question before we, do we have, is there a connection fee? I mean, was this done like a developer sewer there? Or how is the sewer built? Is the sewer paid for?
My guess is that Warner Drive predates the ability to give you any such answer. That's my guess. I don't know, Darren, if you agree.
I agree. It's a real old map, which I could get for you. It's also inaccurate because, interestingly, the issue that we're discussing here tonight wouldn't be discussed if the map were accurate, because it shows the sewer going all the way up where 18 can get to it. So they must have just stopped short when they did install the sewer, and for whatever reason, I guess 14 and 18 didn't want it way back
Well,
when.
They're pretty sure the reason they stopped is because there's some very hard rock there.
There is rock visible as soon as you hit the cul-de-sac.
I think these houses were built, well, I got one built in 1951. Seems about right.
Yep, unless they were houses moved when the highway was installed. A lot of houses juggled around back
Yeah.
there, right around here.
All right, do I have a second on Reese's motion?
I'll second it.
Do we have any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. Susan?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Bob?
No.
Craig is a yes. That's 3-1. Connection is allowed. All right. Moving on, item number 5, sewer connection fees. Staff provided the latest edition, which included a paragraph at the end, 3A7, which made it clear that a sewer system capacity analysis may be required, and that it had nothing to do with your connection fee, and it wouldn't reduce the necessary connection fee, whatever offsite improvements might be required to permit the connection, which was a good addition. And then I went back and read the whole thing again based on our prior conversations, and had a number of edits. And I did not give them to you in the form of edits, but I gave you I gave them to you in the form of a rewrite. And there were a couple of things I was trying to get to. The way it was originally written, it basically said, if you are connecting to a sewer, as if you hadn't been connected before, or you had clearly disconnected from the sewer and were now asking to be connected again to the sewer, is when this whole section would come into play. And I wanted to cover a third situation, whereas you might not need to remove your lateral or disconnect your lateral while remodeling or expanding an existing building, but that remodel or expansion of that building might result in an intensification of use. And I define intensification of use for the terms of this section, based on what would increase or require a connection fee. And in that realm, you're either adding dwelling units to a residential building, or you are increasing the size of a domestic water service on a mixed use or non-residential building or property. And so if you needed to get a zoning permit or a building permit to have an intensification of use, that there may be some additional connection fee required. So I tried to put that thought into this first paragraph, and I'll read the new first paragraph to you. A connection fee shall be due and payable upon actual connection or reconnection to the sewer line, or prior to receipt of a certificate of occupancy for an intensification of use by any person or entity seeking to connect to the public sanitary sewer or intensify use of a building or property connected to the sanitary sewer. All persons or entities connecting or reconnecting to the sanitary system or proposing an intensification of use for which a zoning permit or building permit is required, resulting in additional dwelling units or an increase in domestic water service size, must pay the applicable connection fee unless an owner of the real estate served by the connection has paid an assessment levied pursuant to section 1000-9 of the sewer regulations. The connection fee shall be in addition to the permit fee and inspection fee due under section 1000-3-2. The connection fee shall apply to any proposed new connection, reconnection, or intensification of use for which a zoning permit or building permit is required, resulting in additional dwelling units or an increase in domestic water service size. We might not need to repeat that every time. We might just say intensification of use for real property that does not have an approved land use application before July 1, 2021. So it's basically the language that existed before, adding in the idea that an intensification of use can trigger a new connection fee as well. Now, before I continue, any thoughts or comments on just that paragraph?
Very thoughtful, Craig.
I think that's what Stanford does.
Yeah. And then under the subparagraphs to this section, I wanted to clarify where I thought we were headed with the connection fees and make it, that much easier to calculate them for different options. And so I flipped A and B basically. So A starts to sound like B, but A is connection fees for properties containing only residential dwelling units or buildings, only residential dwelling units or buildings, residential being the operative qualifier, shall be determined by the number and size of the dwelling units as defined in Table 9. So if it is just a single family residence, if it is just a multifamily apartment building or condo, you go by row 1 and row 2 to determine your connection fee. If it's a dwelling unit with 3 bedrooms or more, it's $1,000 per dwelling unit. If it is a dwelling unit with 2 bedrooms or less, it's $500 per dwelling unit. And then I say connection fees for properties or buildings containing mixed use or non-residential uses shall be determined by the size of the domestic water services as defined in Table 9. So basically, if you have a mixed building with apartments upstairs and commercial downstairs, we stop trying to define uses and connection fees based on uses. We just say, well, how much water is this building going to use? And how much water this building is going to use is driven by the size of the domestic water service required by the code. So basically create these 2 categories: residential only, one category, and then mixed use or non-residential as another category. Any issues with that?
Not me.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Okay. Susan's good. Reese is good. All right. So then B, I again tried to clarify how we would calculate these intensification of uses. And so we say properties that are connected or reconnected to the sanitary sewer or subject to an intensification of use shall pay the difference in tabulated connection fees between the current or prior use and the proposed use. And then I provide some clarifying examples, which you can read in the email. But basically, the idea is you first calculate the connection fee based on everything that's going to be on that property in the proposed condition, and you subtract out whatever they had there before based on the same idea of connection.
The net.
Yeah, so you get the net. And so I provide 3 examples of that right in the reg, just to make it clear. Now, if Ed or Darren is not comfortable putting those examples right in the reg, we could have a memo that lives in the sewer department with these and more examples. But I kind of like putting them in here so the intent is clear. That's been done in some other regulations I've read, but I'm open to it.
The zoning regulations have diagrams, so it's actually really clear, and I think it's nice to have them live there.
Yeah.
Somebody could look at it online and understand it.
Yeah, exactly. That the idea is that the reader could understand what they meant by the words.
Yep.
And so when we take these thoughts down into Table 9, 3A3 first, again, I added the or proposed intensification of use to that one as well. But in Table 9, Darren, what I didn't provide in this email would be under the first row, you simply say single family residence, 3 bedrooms or greater. But I would say dwelling unit or single family residence, 3 bedrooms or greater. You could have an apartment with 3 bedrooms. You could have a townhouse attached to another townhouse with 3 bedrooms or more. So I want to make sure it says dwelling unit or single family residence, not just single family residence. And then from row 3 on down, we might choose to say mixed use or non-residential, just to clarify in that regard. But if the folks on the call are comfortable with those changes and have no other comments, I think we're ready to move forward on this, subject to staff concurrence. So, no news is good news. So,
First row is dwelling unit instead of single family residence.
yeah, you could say dwelling unit is fine, or dwelling unit or single family residence, right? Meaning the 2, say the 2 of them. Either way, it's fine.
Okay. I think it makes sense for us to incorporate this and get it back to you either before or at the next meeting.
Okay.
And then the next step, my next question would be, you want us to go back to town council?
Yeah, I thought about that a little bit. So I guess what I don't know is the originating regs that give us the ability to set these fees. I mean, I understand them generally to be broad to be able to assess. But maybe you should have town council just weigh in one last time because this will be the first time they see it written where this intent of intensification of use is so clearly spelled out.
Thank you. Justification. Okay, and do you guys all want to see it at the next meeting?
Yeah,
We'll try and put it all together for you.
Might as well.
Okay. We'll bring it to you before town council, right? That's the usual order of things.
No. I would make these edits. I would
Good.
like by the next meeting, the ideal situation would be the edits are made, they're complete. Town council took a look-see and felt comfortable, and then we can make an action to schedule a public hearing. That's what I would love to see happen.
Okay. In May. Got it. Thank you.
Anything else on this item before we move to item 6?
Can I just ask, the stuff that I dumped in the back in 3A-7, does any of that go away? Did you replace
No,
that?
I like 3A7. I thought it was
You
great.
like that stuff? Okay, so that stays. We'll incorporate that too. 3A7 stays. Thank you.
All right, this one could be a time sink, I will say, I have a full stop at 6, but hopefully we're not going that long. Item 6 is raised bill 1024, an act concerning zoning authority, certain design guidelines, qualifications of certain land use officials, and certain sewage disposal systems, offered for discussion. I read it. There is a lot to chew on here. I don't want to become a quasi land use agency, but it is helpful to understand the conversations going on and how they might affect our sewer system and our commission. Staff, before I go any further, would you like to introduce this with any further comment? Yes,
I
Darren.
would. Town resident, her name is Janet Kling. She brought this to our attention, and as soon as we saw it, we thought it looked very similar to, or at least related to, something that we presented to the commission back in November 2020. So we dug out the Desegregate Connecticut brochure or information packet, whatever you want to call it, and included that along with this raised bill, which is now a raised bill. Now, Ms. Kling said that she would be on the call. We sent her an agenda and a link to get on. I do not steer here, either calling in or on video. However, just to let you know, that's how we got it. A citizen sent this to us. She has had a number of questions in the interim leading up to the meeting, some of which were directed to us, some which were directed to Jamie Stevenson, some were directed to David Knauf of the Health Department, with regards to alternate septic systems, community septic systems, which we, I think, correctly deflected. It's not under our purview. That's really basically it. Just to give
It's
you
interesting. I mean, the stuff on decentralized septics, community septics, alternative septics are more applicable to towns with less sanitary sewer system coverage, right? A town might say, we only have sewers in 5% of our town, so we can't allow multifamily housing because you need septic systems for that sort of thing, and they might choose to stringently review said septic systems. And this is basically saying you have to keep an open mind and define where you're going to allow these sorts of things from time to time in your town. Now, I will say, if someone wanted to go to an area that's not served by septic systems and propose a large community septic system that might serve several homes or several properties, or several buildings, we have some jurisdiction in that situation, because ultimately we have oversight for public health and welfare. I did a similar job in Stamford where a large community system was proposed, and we needed approval from the local water pollution control authority. We needed approval from Stamford WPCA to build this septic system in a section of town that didn't have sewers. So I think we, as the local water pollution control authority, do have some jurisdiction consideration for large community systems. So it's interesting to consider, but again, it's, you know, given the percentage of towns serviced by sanitary sewers, I don't know that this really applies, especially when you get into the focus of this bill's effort to create denser zoning areas is really around the train stations, which are all served by sewers today.
I would just add that the Darien Water Pollution Control Authority is the Board of Selectmen. This Darien Sewer Commission, they don't take any responsibility for sewers. I've been involved in one, and it was a long, long time ago, but the DEP was completely the
Oh yeah. Well, we
judge
wouldn't be the
of-
permitting authority, you know, like, yeah, no, the DEP.
Oh, okay.
That's not what I'm suggesting. I think
But you
a
do
part of
have-
the application was the DEP wanted to know if the local water pollution control authority was okay with it, right? And in order to secure that okay, we needed to enter into an agreement about the care of the system with the local water pollution control authority.
Understood. Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, these things are regulated, you know, 6 times to Sunday. And, you know, the state health department and the state Department of Energy and Environmental Protection would not approve their creation unless they met pretty stringent engineering standards. So again, I'm not really worried about that provision. You know, the provision where it gets sticky is actually, you know, the discussion we just had about connection fees, right? We're trying to, for new developments or intensifications of use, have people pay into the existence and care of the system. And there's some language in here that basically says you can't set these connection fees for these certain things that they're trying to encourage, that in fact the inverse, the sewer authority or zoning needs to be written in such a way to kind of facilitate access to the sewers. So that disturbs me a little bit, but I don't know if it disturbs me enough to pick sides on this thing and start advocating at the state. I think there's a number of people in the line in front of us doing that. So, any thoughts or comments on the materials provided?
Well, I think it shows a very deep conflict between environmental needs and, you know, responsible development and a social need developed by the state, and the difficulty that walking that fine line.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm reading it, you know, as a former zoning official and wetlands official and everything else. Yeah, I can see some of the things that they're trying to do and what frustrates that goal.
Yeah.
How many hurdles there are, and look at the regulations we've just discussed. How many months we've tried to find fairness and equity in a regulation that allows for charging to join our sewer system.
Yeah.
And 5 of us and all the staff have spent a year trying to find that magic line. It's not easy, and maybe looking at it every now and then doesn't hurt from a moral standpoint. But I think as a commission, we do a pretty good job. And Craig, I know how much work you've put in, and the staff dealing with Save the Sound. I mean, that's on the other end of the spectrum. Overdevelopment to the existing system leads to issues like we had with Save the Sound. So we're caught in a box, and it's a difficult one. But I appreciate all you guys are on the commission. It's something that we'll work through together.
Thanks, Reese. Any other comments or questions while we're... All right, back to the agenda. Staff, you good? I think that moves us up to the superintendent's report.
All right, my turn. And Darren, Darren, you'll handle B and C. I'll take care of A. The I&I study update. We did another round of flow analysis. Spent 3 nights out there in the lower Mansfield area, the Leroy Avenue area, and the Stony Brook area, the one that crosses I-95, Hecker, all the way to the town hall to the Stony Brook pump station. So we spent 3 nights out there. We got some, they said they got some good results. We were actually able to find a lot of our manholes, also kind of setting up for our next phase, which is our manhole inspections that go along with the SSES portion, camera work and cleaning of the pipe. That's going to be our next phase. We have a meeting tomorrow set up with the CCTV company. They are coming down. Arcadis is going to meet us. The guys are going to take them out to a couple sections where there are easements through properties. They want to make sure they can get their camera through multiple manhole sections, so that they don't have to set up the camera on the truck on people's property, grassed areas, in the woods, things like that. So they've isolated a couple areas on maps. They're going to go out and take a look at tomorrow, make sure that this thing will go out, go off without a hitch. The pump station inspection reports are due the 1st or 2nd week of May. I'd like to get those from them. I did mention to them that the sooner they get those to me, the sooner we can start looking at, maybe making some improvements that are critical, and identifying others that we can start budgeting for. I didn't get a feeling from them that there were some major issues in our pump stations, which is good. But of course, we're paying them to find some stuff that we don't see, or that we see so often that we don't notice it as something that needs to be addressed. So waiting on that. That's all I have on the I&I study right now. Any questions?
The only thing in my mind, I think this is great work, and I love the data we're collecting, and I love that we're going to be able to create a data-driven plan. I was just looking at our deadlines, and it looks like June 28th of this year is a deadline that suggests our II analysis must be complete. So not only have we done 1 year of II, we've done 2, but it seems as though we have to be in a position to at least get some sort of report and summary out of Arcadis before June 28th to send on to our overseers. And then next deadline is the end of the year, which is just an annual update on all progress made towards compliance.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it's a year and a half from when the II analysis was complete. So the next deadline would be the end of 2022, and that's when the SSES is needed.
Yeah, I think we've completed, like you said, we completed the first part of the I&I analysis anyway.
Yeah.
We jumped into the second portion of this.
So I guess I just, remember June 28th, and we probably need to make some notification before that with some substantiated report from Arcadis.
All right, I will speak with them sometime this week or next to kind of remind them of what that target is.
Yeah.
I'll make sure we both understand what's needed as we go forward.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
One other piece with this is we did start getting training on the GIS portion of this.
Cool.
Darren was very excited. We did include we included the guys so they can get an idea of what their, how the data is put in, what you'll be looking at when you're done. I think this is a great opportunity for them to kind of buy into the technical portion of this job, not just the opening manholes and cleaning pipes. So this will be a big advantage if we can set them up to be able to access that data out in the field with some type of iPad with them. So I think that's my target in the next 2 years, to get them something like that.
Sounds great.
Darren?
I hate to even bother you folks with this, but it keeps coming up. And I know that some of you visit pump stations from time to time and have taken an interest in the condition and the aesthetics. So the reason I put this on here is some of the folks in Nearwater Bay have complained about the Nearwater fence that has become in disrepair. Every once in a while, a rail will fall out, and we go out and we replace it. And on the very last page, you can see the fence condition for Brookside Drive, which is a private road. We have an easement to get to it, obviously. And our pump station is fenced in. If you look at our lot, it looks about 2.5 times bigger than the land we actually use. So it appears that the neighbors are enjoying most of the town property. We didn't put a fence around our entire property. Yet someone, I don't know who, approached one of our workmen and told him that he wanted a new fence and it had to be vinyl, and he did not want white. It was going to have to be a beige color so it wouldn't be so shocking to the neighborhood. So I thought that I would just look for a nod and a wink from the commission that would let us know that we're headed down the right direction. We replace these fences. We're good neighbors. We maintain them. There are fences, but we do it as we see fit. And if the commission has an opinion on that, we'd love to hear it. If you think we should be doing vinyl, if you think we should replace the split rail down at Nearwater every time a rail falls off, or wait until we have money after July 1st or some normal schedule or something like that. Any opinion that you have would be great for us going forward.
Well, I think that, go ahead, Reese.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Craig. I think when a rail falls off, putting a new rail on, that totally makes sense. Colors of fence and everything. I'll take a ride over to Brookside Drive and see what the lay of the land is. But if we put a fence, we ought to put it on the property line.
I agree. On the property line.
I tend to agree with my commissioners. I think by making it ambiguous, you might be inviting liability. So I think that there should be a fence that identifies the property boundary. Whether or not, in the case of Brookside, that needs to be a 6-foot tall wooden stockade fence, I don't know that it does. Certainly, we wanted that 6-foot tall wooden stockade fence around the uglier sections. But I think you should use whatever fence you think is appropriate. I guess that would be the answer to one of your questions. So I don't know if you want to come back with a plan on what you're proposing to do on Brookside, but I don't need to see it.
So I have a question for you. Not that I don't think we should do our best to be good neighbors. And I think we've done quite a bit down at the Nearwater site, because it is on a piece of property that is highly visible to many of our residents because of the beach, and not just the Bay Area, but the people that head to the beach. This area up here, not as heavily traveled, but still the neighbors are there. We'd like to be good neighbors. What we did down in near water, we did what we did at Brookside. This just looks very dilapidated. Maybe it's something that we can replace and upgrade. They're not very expensive. The 8-foot or the 6-foot stockade attached to the chain link fence, that's one option. The other option is the privacy slats on there, whether it be black or green. There are other ways to do it, but
look, I think we should keep our facilities in good repair. These pictures that I'm looking at Brookside indicate that it is probably time to replace that stockade fence. It is in disrepair. But I wouldn't propose necessarily to do anything different. And I guess then the question is, what do you do at the property boundary, which is very different from where this is, to at least indicate that this is our property, right? I mean, we could do monuments or posts or something lesser at the property boundary than a full 6-foot fence. But it seems as though it should be very clear as to where the property boundary is, given how tightly hemmed in our pump station is here.
so what do you think about some type of vegetation as a natural barrier along that property line? And I'm particularly referencing the section behind our station.
Yeah, I mean, you could do, certainly maybe you put in 4 monuments, right? So that corners can be easily found by everybody. And then the question is, what do you do between there? Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we planted, if you would be willing to plant some evergreen type shrubs or trees here and there, just help screen the whole thing. I think that's a reasonable idea,
Okay.
Personally like the idea of fencing because that is very visible. Monuments in the ground, nobody sees. And I mean, you could put split rail. If you're going to put slats I wouldn't do green, I would do black. That's just a landscaping trick. You don't see black in the landscape, but you see green, especially in the wintertime. It just pops right out. So if you were going to do slats, definitely black. But I think it makes sense. We always felt this out of the land trust to make people see the boundary, not just something in the ground. So I'll go over there.
I think moving a 6-foot stockade fence from its current location to what seems to be the property boundary may be surprising to the adjacent neighbor.
Yeah.
What are they doing on that property that belongs to the town? Are they dumping? Because that's a common thing to do. Just drag your yard waste over to the neighboring area that doesn't belong to you. We don't know who.
Yeah, it just looks like an open area to me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, they're driving dune buggies through there or dumping their leaves. I don't know what they're doing. I just know there is, from the aerial view, there's no apparent separation between properties.
What grounds upkeep do we do around pump stations?
What do we do?
Yeah, I mean, if there's vegetation, do we trim it or mow it or paint it green or what do we do?
Well, Bob, what we try to do they're all a little bit different. As you go down to Northern Heights, near water, you're going to see that we cut the grass, we trim the trees back, and some of these natural ones, Brookside in particular, the lot is left natural unless something falls. It needs to be picked up, or something falls on the fence and breaks it, we repair it. This one here, we've been kind of tinkering with the idea to do something with the fence, but wanted some input from you guys on, making sure when this neighbor comes back and is upset that we didn't do his vinyl white fence or vinyl fence, not white, that you understood what we were trying to do here.
Yeah, I mean, I would disagree with the slats for the reason that you have barbed wire at the top, and with the stockade fence, it's much more difficult to scale it and possibly get hung up on the barbed wire. If it's just a straight fence, it's easier, and I have a scar to prove that it's easy to get hung up on the barbed wire.
Okay. Point taken.
Where did you escape from?
No, I was going, it wasn't actually barbed wire, you know, that where it's braided at the top.
Mhm.
I was doing a quick entry to a high school football game.
Got it.
It wasn't so quick because I got hung up and then went face first into the ground.
I'm sure there was emergency conditions that you needed to attend to.
Yeah, I didn't have any money.
Beverages involved?
No.
Look, so I think, have you gotten at least the reaction that you think you need to come up with a plan?
I think I do. Darren?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right. And, you know, in general, I would say these are things that you should just take out of the maintenance budget. We don't need, you know, special line items for it, and we don't need to wait. All right. So any new business before we?
Well,
entertain
I
motions?
actually have an old question from superintendent's report.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
A number of months ago, I asked if you could inquire about the Oxbridge generator and never heard back about it.
And Bob, to be honest with you, I never heard back either.
Okay. If you would be willing to put in another inquiry, I'd appreciate it.
I will. Trying to recall working on them with that too. Okay, I will follow up on that, Bob. Sorry about that.
That's not a problem. I dropped the ball too. I forgot to ask the next month.
Okay.
Okay, so hearing no new business, we're going to go in. Well, I guess can we have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make a motion. We go in executive session.
All right, Bob moved, Reese seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, Darren, you can stop recording the meeting.
It's 5:34 p.m. I'm going to stop recording.
This conference will now be recorded.
We are recording at 5:44 p.m. out of executive
Okay.
session.
We're out of executive session. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Anyone want a second? Reese seconds. All those in favor? Bob?
Aye.
Reese?
Aye.
Susan?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. You can stop recording.
So I'm going to stop recording again.